Bonjour à tous. Allez, c'est parti pour de nouveaux Sherlock Holmes. Donc on va continuer l'histoire principale. On s'était arrêté sur un rituel chez l'élite qui a mal tourné. Ouais, c'était un peu chelou d'ailleurs, comme enquête. Enfin, c'est l'élite, hein. L'élite des riches à cette époque-là. Ils s'amusaient comme ils pouvaient. Et du coup, on y va. Allez, on charge la partie. Ah ouais, c'est vrai, on avait une sale gueule. Et on devait aller du coup dans le manoir. Ah, il nous a RTP. Ah ouais, d'accord. On était dans la petite salle obscure. Du coup, comme on a sauvegardé dedans, on est re-TP au point de téléportation le plus proche.
Welcome, sir.
Donc on rentre et on doit chercher le boss. Encore des étoiles d'or. C'est lui le boss. Alors qu'est-ce qu'il nous dit sur lui? Ne paie pas ses impôts. Moi, il peut le savoir.
I need a rest from my insatiable wife.
Ah non, c'est pas lui. On va être lui aussi. Ah oui, c'est vrai, il y avait des salles sur le côté là. Conduit agité.
Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What has...
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What?
Ouais.
Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Alors.
Did you know Fabio?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Change the subject. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich people has been ruined. I have betrayed all my promises of exotic delights.
I don't understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician. Do your tricks and...
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio...
That is correct, yes. Also...
Batista et Santos.
Santos.
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista.
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere. What's that noise? What's going on? Praise, filth. You're
Oh
under
les mains,
arrest.
peau de lapin. Ah non. C'est quoi ce bordel?
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working...
Would you happen to remember any...
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I...
Perhaps we can negotiate...
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the... Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them see.
And if Mr...
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite... If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, you're... Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting...
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
Ok. Déjà, on va changer notre putain de garde-robe. Ah, on peut pas. Ok. Alors, à la suite d'un signalement donné par un témoin ayant assisté au rituel satanique et qui aurait en outre découvert un corps, la descente sur le manoir Manchios a été autorisée. Celui-ci a entraîné l'arrestation de plusieurs suspects, la dispersion du groupe d'individus portant des masques et des robes surpris au milieu d'actes grossièrement indécents et contre nature. Le corps de la victime a été retrouvé étendu sur un autel avec une blessure au couteau au niveau de la poitrine. Les agents de police ont identifié le mort, Fabio, un artiste de charme local âgé de 20 ans. Suspect appréhendé, Monsieur Vogel. Monsieur Oiseau en allemand, avait sur sa personne une lettre de caractère injurieux écrite par la victime. Oh, il avait une lettre de caractère injurieux écrite par la victime. Il prétend avoir trouvé le corps. Monsieur Vogel est réputé pour sa personnalité excentrique. Monsieur Homme possédait l'arme du crime, une dague imprégnée du sang de la victime, ainsi que d'autres objets d'intérêt. Monsieur Homme a été convié à la soirée par le principal suspect Vogel, a priori dans le but d'entraver l'enquête officielle. Manchos, le propriétaire du manoir et organisateur de la soirée satanique, a payé la victime pour participer au rituel, avait accès à la scène du crime. Matista, la partenaire de Fabio, est une autre participante du rituel, a essayé de s'échapper, a résisté lors de l'arrestation. Possède un livre contenant une description du rituel exécuté dans la salle de l'hôtel. Ok, c'est parce que je disais, elle était chelou. Hein. Ok, donc témoignage de Pichetti. Ok. Donc il a pensé à un sacrifice d'êtres vivants orchestré, c'est bizarre. Hein. Comment il aurait pu se douter? De terribles bruits provenant de la salle de l'hôtel qui était fermée. Comment il aurait pu entendre ça alors que tous les autres, ils étaient à côté, ils n'ont rien capté. Dès l'instant où j'ai retrouvé l'usage de mes facultés, je me suis précipité au poste de police afin d'y rapporter mes observations. La police a réagi à la disposition en envoyant une patrouille, tandis que le témoin a quitté le poste pour rentrer chez lui.
Back on track to solve the case.
Le détenteur de ce ticket est autorisé à examiner toutes les preuves relatives à l'affaire 6062. Parfait. Trop chelou. Comment il pouvait savoir? Le meurtrier s'est lavé le corps. Ok. On a les clés.
Look, I found Werner.
Alors. Vous me changez? Moi, on ressemble à quelque chose maintenant. C'est qui toi? Alors.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am...
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murder...
That voice. Werner's friend?
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultation.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of...
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct?
I need to...
Alors, observons-le. Son pipif. Il porte du maquillage. Doigt. J'ai trop vite lavé les mains. Alors, qu'avons-nous? Ces chaussures. Des chaussures très chères. La teinture. Ok. Savon sur les ongles. Extrêmement riche, excentrique et frivole, il est organisateur de soirées réservées à l'élite cordonaise et le propriétaire du manoir. Du coup, il passe ses journées à côtoyer d'autres mantis dans son genre. Stimule son âge, pointilleux sur la propreté. Je pense qu'il dissimule son âge. On va voir si on a raison, mais je
You
pense
are
que
a
c'est ça.
little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr.
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though...
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you...
I wouldn't call myself that. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what.
Alors, comment était
What was
Fabio?
Fabio like? His personality?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy.
An expensive champion.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his...
Possibly. What about the other guests?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few...
Et
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested.
I'd like to know who you usually invite.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste... There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many...
Oh, all true
ok.
labor. Why did you invite Mr. Vogel?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public.
I suppose I can't...
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is...
Ok. Alors, les
You
boutons.
bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were...
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times.
This pair cost a small fortune.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed... With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved...
Ok.
I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else.
Ça n'a pas en tout
I've no
partout.
idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about.
Ça.
Of course, it was you. I could even...
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself.
Not a very...
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows.
T'es sûr? Il en sait plus, c'est sûr. Hop. Pas en partout. Alors, bon, One Shot, c'est préparé pour la débauche. On va faire ça. Ou ça. Aucun en prison.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable...
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday.
Oh.
Please, I'm just here to ask questions.
Alors, été battu. Un ancien esclave. Tatouage occulte primitif. C'est vrai qu'elle avait le livre, je sais pas quoi là. Elle est nerveuse. Elle s'en taillée. Alors... Ok. Ah, mince.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a... couldn't help but also notice fresh...
The cuts helped me.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted.
Some guests can't contain themselves.
Sérieusement.
I know I can handle the news.
On pouvait pas la questionner sur... On peut pas la questionner sur le livre qu'elle détenait.
Werner,
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion.
you should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock...
Of course not. Anyway, I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files.
Well done. If one has the... I wonder... Suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell... Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not...
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises.
Ok. Alors,
I'm not
allons-y.
supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible.
Et ça sert à quoi?
Can I ask you a question?
Nothing I can tell you, sir, but others might know more.
Piu piu piu. Ah, l'épreuve, c'est peut-être les saisies là-bas. Je me souviens qu'il y avait un truc de saisie. Là.
Good day, your ticket. This is not a ticket. Don't waste my time. Don't you understand what a ticket is? This is not a ticket. 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 Don't you understand what a ticket is? And who are you?
Oswald sent me.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder.
Ok. 9. Ça c'est bien. Ça c'est le livre trouvé sur la
That's
dame.
not for bedtime reading. This
La police a retrouvé ce livre occulte dans les sacs de Matista lors de son arrestation. Selon l'ex-libriste, le tome en question a été pris dans la collection de M. Van Schoss et renferme des illustrations ainsi que des descriptions détaillant un rituel similaire à celui observé sur la scène du crime. Prépare le corps nu d'un être bien aimé ayant récemment péri. Tracez les symboles de Mars et de Vénus pour amplifier le pouvoir qui réside en vous et invoquer les forces de nature masculine et féminine. Transpercez-lui le cœur à l'aide d'une dague dorée afin de vous débarrasser du sang qui ne vous aime point. Passez un symbole représentant votre amour en attendant la résurrection. Ressuscitez le charme. Donc il était déjà mort, elle a tenté de ressusciter.
Her key to the altar room. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings.
Ok, je pense que c'est ça. Elle a juste tenté de le ressusciter.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KS M in the corner. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
Lettre qui figurait parmi l'épreuve à charge. As-tu perdu la raison? Tu n'es pas capable de contrôler ton propre ressentiment, en tout cas, pas en ma présence. Quant à moi, je ne peux pas me permettre d'ignorer ce genre de comportement. Je me lie, m'entretiens et me divertis à qui bon me semble. Je ne suis pas une autre Matista. Tu me paies, mais tu ne m'as pas acheté. Naturellement, je compte garder tous tes dons généreux, même s'il pardonne à peine ton dernier accès abject communauté. Je te quitte, mais Matista, elle restera encore ici.
Not the time for privacy.
Ok.
Werner's personal sketchbook. An emergency kit for boredom. Thank you, officer.
Notre gueule était aux archives, je crois qu'il avait dit.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I've nothing to say about this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I've nothing to say about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I've nothing to say about this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I've nothing to say about this. I've nothing to say about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I've nothing to say about this.
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath...
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think?
Right. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogate.
Thank
C'est très bien, mais avant on va mettre ça et on va parler à... Je vous explique un peu tout ça.
I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
So the police found a
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there late.
Well, that is one hypothesis.
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a...
Indeed.
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not...
Donc on lui a peut-être mis cette lettre dans sa poche. Ça c'est une chose, on le fera après. Elle, on va lui parler.
I don't know what to say. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to say. I don't know what to say. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to add. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I've nothing to add. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
On va voir si on peut pas récupérer les
I've nothing to add.
trucs de Sanchez vu qu'il a été arrêté.
I've nothing to say.
This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
I don't. Although I don't know what to say. I've nothing to say.
This book, The Power of...
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night, I cast a spell on him and it...
Or was it...
The universe is really...
If you say... Do you practice...
For protection? For fortune? I have the gift,
Did you use your gift?
but I suppose I'm not as skilled.
You'd better ask someone else.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had...
Werner? Strange.
I'm sure there is some explanation.
Call me superstitious, but I...
Do you recognize this book?
She didn't ask me.
The things described in the book were in...
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with... My rituals are a stage.
On va interroger l'autre, on va aller voir. On a accès à des preuves en plus. Bam bam bam. On aura aussi le palais mental du coup. Ah. Ok. Alors, palais mental. Boum 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 boum. Ça va pas ensemble. On verra après. On va même pas lire. Ok. On n'a plus qu'à aller parler à Sanchos. Alors, il était dans la cellule 7, je crois. C'est ça.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Sur un bref message joint au testament, on peut lire: Santos, Moulis, plein d'espoir que tu es, tu m'as supplié de t'inclure dans mon testament. Alors je me suis exécuté. Voici donc la dernière révision du document en question, Carte. Le texte du testament lui-même en dessous du message. Sanchos Ichetti, le majordome du manoir Sanchos, recevra un pot de cire à moustache ainsi qu'une lampe de sel, lec, par lesquelles il se rappellera toujours son employeur attentif, Kurt Sanchos. Kurt Sanchos. On a vu le testament, il a peut-être pété un câble.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable...
I've already told him everything I know.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio...
But I need to...
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti.
Ok. Ok. Alors, il est l'intendant du manoir. Il est pauvre. Il a des trous. C'est tout. Nanana, il semble pas.
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely... You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you...
I do not have a lot of means. The pay...
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know.
Ok.
Did you know?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Batista? Was she as...
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests.
Ok. Alors, on va tout
Don't
sélectionner
expect me
comme
to
un
know
bras.
anything about it. I know nothing about this. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. Don't expect me to know anything about it. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I know nothing about this. I can't help you.
On va tout essayer
Don't
pour
expect me to
rien
know
rater.
anything about it. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I know nothing about this. Don't expect me to know anything about it. I can't
Il
help
dit rien
you.
du tout. Hein.
I can't help you. I know nothing about this. He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head,
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my...
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs...
Ok. Alors que j'allais lui parler de ça du coup. On reviendra après tout ça. On va parler à ce bon vieux Kirch. Enfin, je sais plus, 5 je crois. Là.
That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceived.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He was only added...
I fail to see why you made him your...
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original...
What are you talking about?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you. He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny it, do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high. I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Ok. Voyons si on apprend un peu plus de trucs.
I've nothing to add. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to say.
Could Fabio...
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
Et...
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy
Ils
at
ont
my
plus rien à
party.
dire.
Please let me out.
Et toi, qu'est-ce que tu as encore à nous dire?
I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
Je pense
I'm
qu'on
not
est sur les
supposed to know
dernières
anything
preuves.
about this.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient...
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with...
I hope your attempts...
You be...
Touché.
Et voilà, je pense qu'on a tout. Alors, si on met tout par là. Donc l'être peut être destiné à moins de choses. Je sais jamais dans quel sens ça va. Le côté grisé normalement je crois. Il manque un truc. Ouais, je pensais qu'on avait tout là.
The air here is rather refreshing. I'd even recommend that some of my friends visit the place.
Please let me out.
I know I can handle the news.
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
Allons parler.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free...
Do you really think I'm that naive?
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing... The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy... It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy...
Look here. We had a deal.
Well, fine.
Et on peut tout débloquer ou pas? On va tout bouger un par un. Ça et ça change rien. Ça change rien. Ça change rien. Voilà. Ou en gris. Ouais, pas les mentales, je suis bien d'accord, mais... Ah. Ok. Donc, Matista et la meurtrière. La popularité croissante et les ambitions de Fabio effrayaient Matista. Elle désirait le garder à ses côtés aussi longtemps que possible. En ultime recours, Matista a exécuté le rituel de l'amour duquel elle a brisé. Elle a fait appel aux arts occultes pour se venger de sa misérable vie. Elle a poignardé Fabio pour le garder à ses côtés et doit être tenue responsable de ses actes. Ok. Je pense pas que ce soit elle, hein, franchement. Alors. Ah. Ah. Alors, des années durant, Fabio a joué avec le cœur de Kurt Nachos et a abusé de l'intérêt qu'il lui portait. Quand Nachos a essuyé un énième refus de l'éphèbe, il l'a assassiné et mis en scène un rituel d'amour pour ne pas éveiller les soupçons. Bon. Ah. Donc, crime passionnel, Kurt Nachos. Le cœur brisé a cédé à la panique et ne voulait pas tuer Fabio. Le rituel improvisé. Je vais y arriver. Le rituel improvisé n'était qu'une tentative désespérée de cacher le crime. Une peine de prison devrait suffire car le vrai châtiment est la perte de son bien-aimé. Ok, un prédateur sexuel. Kurt Nachos a tué Fabio de sang-froid. Il a déguisé son crime en rituel afin d'incriminer Matista et mettre la lettre dans la poche de Google pour écarter les soupçons. Il n'a aucune considération pour la vision. Il mérite la potence. Ok, je pense qu'il y a un troisième. Ça doit être le... Je pense qu'ils mettent ça. On va mettre ça, je pense. Et voilà. Pareil pour son début d'épisode et brique son héritage aussi. Ses illuminations de malchance ont poussé Santos à tuer Fabio et à incriminer son oncle. Avec Nachos en prison, Pino deviendrait le seul héritier. Bon. Ouais. Il y a de grandes chances que ce soit ça, hein. Des torts à redresser. Pour redresser cette situation, n'avait qu'un seul moyen, se débarrasser de son oncle monstrueux. Il devait être emprisonné pour le meurtre. Ok. J'hésite entre lui et Ouais, là, le fait que... Parce que Vogel, il dit il a passé son temps qu'avec... si on réfléchit, il dit qu'il a passé son temps qu'avec Carte. Et là, il n'avait pas l'air d'avoir remarqué... Et lui, surtout, il s'était lavé les mains. Et on sait qu'il s'est lavé. On n'a rien trouvé sur le fait que quelqu'un d'autre se soit lavé les mains. Du coup, le rituel, c'était juste... On va reprendre en Carte là. Voilà. Je pense que c'est lui le meurtrier. Vu qu'il s'est lavé les mains et qu'il a traîné avec l'autre, je pense que c'est lui. Par contre, crime passionnel. Tac tac tac. Le rituel improvisé n'était qu'une tentative désespérée de cacher son crime. Une peine de prison. Non, il a buté quelqu'un, pourquoi il ira en prison? C'est ça qu'il a fait. Afin d'un crime Matistop, dont il savait certainement que son livre avait disparu. Pour écarter, voilà, c'est ça. Je pense que c'est lui. Bon. On reste sur ça. Allez, on le fout à la potence. Oh, c'est à lui qu'il faut parler ou pas?
Continue our investigation while I look at the papers.
Là.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual.
I can't believe it.
Mr. Vogel, he had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his...
You can't...
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children, you had feeling, you loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched.
You must surely perceive that my...
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from... The devil is in the...
Nonsense. I missed it simply because...
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. The young performer played with your emotions. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond. You wanted to be loved. But Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was And then you staged the ritual. You planted the letter in Vogel's pocket and attempted to say...
What poppycock?
There is no stop word, Mr. Manchios. Relax and enjoy it.
On n'a pas la conclusion exacte.
I have a name for you.
Is that so?
The man himself. Mr. Man. A deadly revenge that deserves a proper sentence.
A degenerate and a murderer. I'll make a... As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime. Everything I've found is on the desk.
You're persistent.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all.
Good luck, Constable.
Parfait. Au top des archives de la police. Ouais, c'est pas ça. Ah non, là. Bête. Alors déjà, des agents ont été dépêchés au manoir de Stonewall pour y consacrer un décès. La morte identifiée comme Madame Violette Holmes gisait dans le jardin du manoir. Une inspection visuelle du corps a permis de déterminer que la victime était trempée et portait au cou une profonde entaille verticale et longue de 5 cm. Ok. Son visage était gonflé et recouvert de rougeur. Cause probable de la mort, hypoxie, en attente de confirmation par le médecin légiste. Le suspect principal, Otto Richter, a été arrêté sur place. Le corps a été envoyé pour autopsie. Ah. On se rappelle.
Garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
Okay.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock. The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo.
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in...
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and etiquette, religion, marriage. They're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity. And it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I take your point. There are some limits on us all, some compromises we must make.
I didn't want to sadden you, Sherlock. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to...
Ok. sortons de là.